In this video, I'll show you how to create captions like this, where your words get highlighted automatically using a very simple Premiere Pro and After Effects workflow. Alright, so you have these captions that you created in Adobe using the text panel, and you want to do that effect. If you wanted to do it manually, it would take you forever to do it for a lot of layers because you would have to click on every single one of them, mark the words, and change their properties, fill values. However, there's a much quicker way, especially when you're dealing with a lot of captions. So select these captions and upgrade them to graphics, because you cannot import captions into After Effects, but you can actually import graphics into After Effects. So you select them, you right click and click replace with After Effects composition. So then it takes you to After Effects and you have them on your timeline. Now, there are a few issues that we need to address. The first of them is that they are actually all pre-comped. So each and every single one of the layers actually imports as a pre-composition, and we need to uncomp them in a way, but the issue is that there isn't a native function in After Effects that does that. So I have to use Motion Tools plugin. That's actually free, so you can download it here at this link. I'll link it down in the description below. It's a free download and it's super useful. I use it all the time. I definitely think you should check it out. And you have this button that says uncomp all layers from the selected composition. So it's a fairly easy fix. But now we have all of these nulls. Essentially, they don't really matter and you can leave them as is, but I like to get rid of them. So the simplest way I found to get rid of these nulls is to select all the layers, come here to paragraph, and just click on some of these values that don't really matter or are already clicked. So you can click center text. So now we only have the text selected. You take one of them, you drag them up, and now you kind of divided nulls and the texts. Now we can easily get rid of the nulls. All right, but now you may notice that we don't actually see the second line of this text layer, and neither do we see it for any of the layers. It's an issue that occurs when you import Premiere Pro captions and text layers into After Effects, but there is a way to work around it. So I found that when you alt-click on source text, it actually fixes that issue. However, if we were to just go copy expression only and paste it to all the other ones, it would do well for all of them apart from this one, where we only have one line, where that one line is now on the top line. So we want to fix that, and I actually wrote a simple piece of code that you would actually use instead of just alt-clicking on the source text. That piece of text figures out if it's a one-liner, and if it is, then it's going to put it on the second line. So we are actually going to copy that expression now and paste it to all the other layers. And you can see that the two line layers are unchanged, but this one is now exactly where it should be, on the second line. All right, so now that we have our layers prepared, we're actually going to do the highlighting. To do that, we're going to go into here and add an animator, add a fill color, RGB, and here you're actually going to choose a fill color that you'd like. So let's go with a blue one. In here, open up the range selector, open up advanced, change the units to index, and change the base on to words. Also change the smoothness to 0%. Now we're going to manipulate the end and the offset values of this animator, and in the end we're going to apply an expression that you can download by clicking the link in the description below along with the full project, and we're going to paste it here. What this expression actually does is it counts the words in this layer, splits them in two, meaning half of this layer is going to be blue. You can manipulate it by changing this number if you, for example, wanted the fourth of the layer to be blue, but for this example, let's go back to 2. And now if you wanted to move the highlighted segment, you would play around with the offset value. What I would like to do is to actually get a random number from 0 to 3, and that way it would randomly start from either first, second, third, or fourth word of the text layer. To do that, there is a very simple expression that you can also find in the full project that you can download below, and it's just a very simple randomizer of numbers from 0 to 3. Here we finally actually got 0, so it actually starts from the beginning anyways, but if we were to take this animator, copy it, and paste it to all the other layers, and that's the part that can save you a lot of time if you have hundreds of captions that you want to apply this effect to, you just paste it to them, apply it to all of them. You can now see that all of them have this random highlight effect going on, and it has saved me tons of time for some projects that I wanted to get this effect for. Just think about it when you have hundreds of layers and want to highlight some words randomly. this is a very, very simple and automated way to do it. Obviously, you can play around with the values here in the range selector, and also you can get creative with it. Actually, what I've also done before is for a client that actually wanted to have the text bolder, you can use a variable font, add a property, variable font axis, and add a weight property, and you can play around with the boldness of the text, for example. So if by default it was light, and you could add bold, plus obviously any other property you may want to play around with. What I also like about this method is when you go back to Premiere Pro, you actually have this After Effects composition. And if you click on the source, you can actually see all of the texts and you can change them right here in Premiere Pro. For example, if there is a typo in the text, you can easily change it here and it syncs right away. I would also add a bit of Wonderglow to this text, so to add a bit of flair to the text, like this. So I hope you liked it. It's very simple, but a very robust and a smart way, I think, of creating a style like this. You can, once again, download the project in the description below, subscribe to the channel, and I hope I'll be seeing you in one of my next tutorials.